Do you have a gift to make or maybe some kind of gift basket that you need to throw together? Well, I'm going to save your day. Whether it's for a gift or organization, the Stylus storage bin is your go-to. This pattern is so fun and so cute. It comes in 5 different sizes, so you'll have every size you need for any possible thing. It comes in an extra, extra small, which fits perfectly in the palm of your hand and is wonderful for all really tiny items. There's an extra small, which is slightly bigger, a little bit bigger items. Then you have a small, then you have a medium, and then you have a large. These are great baskets. They can be used for so many things. You even have the option of adding handles to the larger sizes and a little hanger loop to the smaller sizes. It is literally the perfect pattern for all your needs. The Stylus is one of our $6 sew and watch patterns. So you're going to get all 5 sizes with a complete written tutorial and a complete video tutorial, all for $6. It's the perfect pattern to jumpstart your holidays, your gift giving, or your organization. We are here for you. Now, this pattern is perfect for seasoned sewists and beginner sewists alike. So if you're new to sewing, you can jump into this. So I'm going to show you right now how to make this pattern. Okay, I'm going to make 2 of the Stylus storage bins for you. This is the extra small and this is the small. Remember, there's an even smaller extra, extra small, and there is a medium and a large. So these are good size bins. They go from really big to really, really small, and they're actually pretty perfect. So on the extra small, I'm going to be putting in a hanger. The hanger pattern piece is for the size extra, extra small and the size small. So we'll be doing that. For the size small, I'm going to be showing you how to put the handles on each side of the bin as well. So we'll be making these together. The one thing that you need to know is that you need your pattern pieces. So you have an outer bottom, and then you have the outer side panel. You have a lining bottom and a lining side panel. Remember, these are their own separate pattern pieces. All right. So the lining bottom is different, or the lining bottom and the lining side panels are different than the outer. I also have my I did the short hanger pattern piece. I have that. Same goes for this size small. I have my handles, which I used webbing, or you could use leather, or you can make it out of fabric like I'm going to show you to do how to do with the hanger. I've got my lining bottom and lining panel, and my outer bottom and outer panel. I've also gone ahead and added my interfacing to all of them so we can get started. All right, so we're going to start with the side panel. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our side panel. About every inch or so, we're going to snip up this bottom edge here. That's going to give us some maneuverability around that circle. So you want to be really careful you don't come up any further than about 1/4 of an inch. Our seam allowance is 1/2 inch, so you want to stay within that. All right. Now I'm going to fold and match the short raw edges here, and I'm going to give it a couple of clips. I am going to take all my other panels and I'm going to do the exact same thing. So this is the outer side panel. This is the lining side panel, and you can see they're angled here. So this is the bottom. The smaller end is the bottom. So I'm going to, whoops. So I'm going to snip across the bottom. Okay, and just like with the outer side panel, I'm going to fold this matching the short raw edges and clip it. All right, so that's the size small. Let's do the extra small. We're going to do the exact same thing. All right, now we're going to take all 4 of these. Now remember, this is the size extra small and this is the size small. We're making them simultaneously. So I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance and I'm going to sew down these short raw edges. Okay, here we are. Now let's put our lining pieces to the side. And we're just going to work on our outer pieces, our outer panels. So you could take this and you could finger press this seam open, or you can use an iron, that's totally fine. Now, I forgot to mention when you're putting your interfacing on, if your sewing machine can't handle a lot of thickness, make sure you're cutting your interfacing a 1/2 inch smaller than your pieces, whether that's the circle or whether that's the side panel. Give yourself some opportunity to take the bulk out of those seams. It's going to make sewing a whole lot easier. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to find the top. So this is the top. Down here, I could see that I did all my clips are down here. When my little snips that I did, that's the bottom. So let's look at the top here. So I'm going to use this seam as a guide, and I'm going to place a clip on that seam. Then I'm going to fold it in half. This is going to give me the halfway point, the opposite side of the seam. Okay, so I'm going to take it like this, fold it in half, make sure that it's. And then I'm going to place another clip here. It's going to show me where my handles need to be because that's what we're working on. We're working on our handles now. So grab a measuring device and either a clip or a writing utensil because we need to make a marking. So I'm going to lay this like this and just kind of fold this top edge out of the way. All right, so I need to measure 2 inches from the center of my clip or the pin or the mark, whatever. Okay, whatever you did. So I'm going to mark 2 inches here, and then I'm going to go 2 inches here. Okay, and I'm going to do that on the other side. This is what you're going to do. We have our markings. They're here and here. You are going to place the outside of your handle against that marking, and you're going to give it a couple of clips. Okay, then you're going to take this and you're going to do that to the other side. So the outside is going to match that clip. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like. So when it comes up, it's going to look like that. Okay, now let's do that to the other side. Okay, and there should be about 1.5 inches, almost, between this side and this side. All right, so that's what it looks like. Now we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to base those handles to our tube here. Okay, so that's that. The great thing about this pattern is you can adjust what you want to do. You don't have to put handles on it. You can put handles on it, whatever, and you can make them wider, longer, shorter, whatever you want to do. So I have the outside, and push this down. The outside of my handle piece is at our markings. All right. If you're using the long handle, you might want to do the inside of your handles on that marking. That is up to you. It's your bag or it's your bin. You could do whatever you want. With the short ones, I like the way this looks. I like that 1.5 inches between them. So since there's 4 inches from mark to mark, that would mean with your big one, you've got 4 inches between them. And that may not be what you like. It may not look good the way you think it should look, and that's fine. So just adjust it anywhere between the marks. It's totally fine. It can have 4 inches between the marks. It can have 3 inches between the marks. It can have 2 inches between the marks, or like this can have 1.5 inches between the marks. Totally up to you. But now we can get to basting. Now let's talk about the extra small and our hanger. So this is our side panels, and again, we're going to open up that seam allowance there and get the iron out if you need to. You want to determine which is the bottom and which is the top. Remember, we know the bottom because that's where we've clipped, and I can see all my clips are here. So this is the top, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a clip at the seam allowance, set it to the side. Now we've got our hanger fabric right here. I decided to use fabric and not webbing, so we're going to show you how this is done. So you're going to take your hanger and you're going to fold it long sides together, and you're going to iron it or you're going to finger press it. We've got a crease right here. Now we're going to take each long edge and we're going to fold it towards that crease. So there's one, and let's do the other one. All right, and then we're going to fold those together. So what this has done is it has fully encased our long raw edges. Now I'm going to head to the sewing machine and I'm going to use 1/8 of an inch and I'm going to edge a seam allowance and I'm going to edge stitch on both sides of this hanger. Okay, so here we are. Now that we've done that, we could take it and we could put it together like this. You can either put it like this or you can overlap it like this, okay? This is going to give you the ability to hang it on a hook. I like it fully overlapped. This is totally your call. It's up to you how you want it. This is the right side. It's what you want to see, the top. So I'm going to take this. Now we've already got our clip where the seam is, and I'm going to place it right sides together, centered on that seam, and I'm going to clip it just like that. And then I'm going to go over and I'm going to base this using a 1/4 inch seam allowance onto my side panel. All right, so here we are. I'm going to turn these right side out just so you can see how they look. So it will come up like this. You see that? And then you could just have the handle right there. I like this. I like this length of handle. It seems to make sense. I love it. All right, I'm going to turn that wrong side out again. And then we'll take a look at the extra small. All right, so let's turn our extra small right side out. Okay, so this will have this, and this will sit like this, and this gives you a hook to kind of like hook it onto something. Okay, very cute. And you could put this way or that way. It's up to you how you want it to look, but that's just the way I do it. All right, let's turn that one side out. Now, there are 2 ways that you can put this all together, and I'm going to show you both, but I have in the tutorial I'm going to show you this first way, and that's we're going to quarter it. We're going to mark our quarter points on the side panel and the round or the bottom panel. All right, and this is for the outer. So I'm going to start again. We're like finding the halfway point. So we have the seam is our starter, and we're going to fold that in half so that we can find our center. Ooh. Okay. And then we're going to match those to find our quarter points. Let's do that on the other side. And now we're going to do that on our bottom panel. We're going to fold that in half. Okay, and then we're going to fold it in half again, matching up those clips. And we're going to mark that. Okay. Ta-da. Now we're going to match up all those quarter points. So we'll take one, push that bottom in there. We'll match up this quarter point. We'll match up the opposite quarter point. We'll match up this quarter point. And we'll match up this quarter point, the opposite. Okay. All right. Now we're going to ease this all together. And we're going to use as many clips as we feel like we need to. All right. Whoops. You see you've got any little puckers here and there that you need to work out? Take your time, work those out. Okay. Think we are there. Now, as you can see, I used a ton of clips, and that is totally fine to use a ton of clips. You can even staple it. I've seen people staple it, and that is a pretty cool idea as well. And you just staple it within the seam allowance, and it just kind of keeps it all together, and then you don't have all these clips that you have to worry about. So now I'm going to go to my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch this together. All right, so I'm going to take it like this, and I'm going to push this down, and I'm going to sew from the circle side. All right, and I'm going to be very careful to pay attention to where my needle is. I only need to worry about the fabric that's under my needle, and then I can adjust as I go. All right, let's sew. All right, here we are on this one. And what you want to do is you want to take a good look, see if you didn't see anything major. You're not looking for perfection here. All right, and if you don't see anything major, that's cool. Now turn it right side out, and we want to look at it from this side. Whoops, make sure that we got every edge looks good. Just kind of push those corners out so you can see. Oh man, I'm really happy with how this is looking. Let me do this so you can see it a little bit better. Those little snips helped a lot, and really being just concerned with what was under my presser foot really made this a nice fit. All right, so now I want to trim this seam allowance to about half or a little bit less of what it is. There we have it. Very fun, very cool. I'm going to set that to the side. Now, let's take our lining panel and our, or not our lining panel, our outer panel, outer side panel, and our outer bottom. Now, one of the ways you can quarter it, and it really does come together really easily, but sometimes I find that just putting it under my presser foot, not using any pins or clips at all, and just lining up the raw edges here, starting here. I could clip this here, okay? And then I'm just easing it around as I go around my sewing machine. And I'm not really having to clip it at all. And it kind of eases itself in there. That's what I'm going to do with this one. Let me show you how it's done. Okay, here we are. So didn't use any pins or clips. I just uh, kept it lined up as I sewed. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. Now we're going to take a look and see if I can find any real puckers anywhere. And I actually don't. I actually, from this side, I like it better. I like the way it looks better on this one than I even did on this one. But let's turn it right side out and see how we feel. Push those edges out. And look at that. What a beautiful, perfect bottom. I absolutely love it. Now we're going to turn it wrong side out again, and we're going to trim that seam allowance by half. All right, I'm going to set that to the side as well. Now, all we have to do is repeat what we just did on both of the lining panels. Remember, where it angles in is the bottom. So this angled in, which is also where we clipped, is going to be what connects to our bottom panel on both of these. I'm going to sew it up, and then I'll show it to you. Okay, I've got my extra small lining and my small lining. I like the way they look. I'm making sure that everything is connected here. And I have a couple of puckers on the waterproof canvas. I don't really have any puckers on this one. Sometimes you get puckers. Sometimes life happens, right? I've got one pucker there, but that's all right. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to trim the seam allowance down by half or a little bit more to reduce that bulk. Let's turn this wrong side out. Turn your lining right side out. You just need to place them right sides together. That's the important part. Okay? So you take this like this. Okay? And you put this inside. Okay? Now you're going to open up, finger press the seam open of your lining here. And you're going to match the seam just like this. And you're going to give it a clip. And you're going to clip all the way around. I like to do it across so I can get like almost like quarter points. So you can ease it there. It's a lot easier to ease it in. Now the thing that I'm going to do, I'm not going to put it in the center here. I'm going to do it on either side here. because what's going to happen is I'm going to leave this open. I'm not going to sew there. That's going to give me the ability to turn my bag right side out. I'm going to put some more clips in here just for security, and then set that to the side, and we're going to move on to our small. Okay, and again, I'm going to leave this section open here. So from here to here, I'm not going to sew. That's going to let me turn it right side out. So now I'm going to go to my sewing machine. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around till I get to here. I'm back stitching at the beginning and the end. Doing the same here, starting here, going all the way around to here, back stitching at the beginning and the end, keeping this open using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. All right. Here we go. Now we need to trim that seam allowance as well. Here's our opening. I don't want to trim across that opening. So I'm going to angle it at where I backstitch, angle it there, and then start trimming. When I get to the other end of where I backstitch, I'm going to stop and I'm going to angle it up there. Okay, so you've got this little notched out part. Okay, let's do that to the size small. Angle that out. See, I angled, that's where I notched out where the webbing is, and then I have my whole opening here that's notched out. All right, now it's the super fun part. We are going to turn these right side out. So reach inside and just pull it out. Okay, and because you're using a heavy interfacing, you're going to have to work at it. Don't be afraid. And we're going to push our lining down in there. We want to push it down to where the it's not sticking up. I don't want it to stick up like that. I want to push it all the way down so you do not see the lining on the outside. So push it down, roll it in your fingers a little bit, give it some clips. You can iron it as well, but you want to push that lining down. I do not want to see it other than a tiny little peekaboo. That's the very most I want to see it. Okay, now we're at our opening. It will automatically want to turn because that's the seam allowance. It will want to turn that 1/2 inch. So finger press it and push those raw edges toward the inside. And again, you don't want the lining showing over the top. So just take your time. There you go. Tuck it in there. Get all those raw edges tucked in. It's going to fit perfectly and it's going to look fantastic. All right, you can already see that the lining is absolutely perfection. I'm pumped about this lining. I'm pumped about it. All right, so let's do the same thing with our size extra, extra small, and then we can come back and take a look at our amazing work. All right, now we're going to do the finishing step. We're going to take this to our sewing machine, and we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to top stitch all the way around both of these openings. Okay, we are finished. Look at the insides, first of all, how beautiful that lining sits inside. Let me see, inside our bag. It's absolute perfection. I've got threads everywhere, but look at the beauty of that bottom. It is perfect. I love, love, love my handles. Oh my gosh, they're so stinking cute. Same goes for our size extra small. The lining fits in just beautifully. No puckers, no bubbles, no nothing. Everything looks really great. Make sure you get in there and you push those corners out. So you've got a nice, beautiful, structured bottom there. Put these out so you can see how beautiful they are. I'm so happy with these, and I hope you're happy with them too.